Hi, it is good to see you. I hope you had a great day. So, I watched something this weekend. It was just a funny series, and a lot of the older people in the series, and I mean 70s, 80s, they were all running around like children, behaving like children, having emotional outbursts like children. It's a funny series. It just reminded me that aging does not equate to wisdom. Just because we get older doesn't mean we get wiser. So I wanted to do a meditation today where we just check in on our emotional state, see how our emotions are doing, see where we're at emotionally. And this is a really great practice that you can utilize basically anywhere and everywhere because it's all done internal. There's no tune in, it's not a Kundalini yoga meditation. It's just a practice that I do when I'm feeling overwhelmed or if I notice I'm either numbing out or becoming apathetic, things like that, it's just kind of a way for me to check in on myself. So you can be sitting, you can be standing, you can be doing dishes, you can be moving about as long as you're able to remain focused. It's not going to endanger you in any way. Just keep that in mind. So if you're at home and you're just doing dishes, you can do this relatively easily. If you're out walking around, you do still want, situational awareness. So go ahead and close your eyes if you're able. If not, if you're doing something like dishes or walking, please just bring your attention to your physical body. We're going to start with the body first. We're not going to do a body scan. Not that that isn't important, and you can incorporate a body scan in. I'm not going to do that this time. I want to just bring the focus to the emotional state. I'll probably do another video where we do both a body scan and then an emotional check-in. But for this one, for everybody that's keeping their eyes open, just bring your presence fully into your body, and then just shout out, "Hey emotions, how's it going?" I talk to my emotions like they're friends because ultimately your emotions can be your friends or they can be your enemies. It's your choice, right? They're just guides. They're shouting out that there's an issue. They're pointing to a lesson that we can learn. So either you're going to listen to that friend shouting out or you're going to label them a problem, a nuisance, an enemy, whatever, right? And ignore the lesson. So my choice is to hear the lesson. I may not I may not follow it, but I'm at least going to listen, right? So I've got some fear, anxiety coming up from my stomach. I got some numbness on my back. Seems to be dissolving my aura in the back. That's new. Okay. And then as the emotions come up, I just want you to ask them, what do I need to know? What are you trying to show me? What's going on? And if the emotion is too intense, I did do this at work one time and I had a lot of anger that had come up. And so I was just like, "Hey, anger, what's going on?" And there was an instant response of fear and anxiety. So I wasn't really in a place at work where I could, follow that. I could listen to what the anger was trying to teach me. So instead, what I started doing was, "Hey, anger, thanks for showing up. I appreciate you trying to point out a lesson. I appreciate you reaching out to me to get my attention. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just not in a place where I can do much about it right now. So hang tight. Is there anything you can tell me about this that I feel angry about as a starting point?" And then just let the emotions flow up. Think of it like any conversation with a friend, right? When the friend starts talking to you, you just listen. They don't necessarily need you to say anything back. They don't necessarily need any input. They're just expressing something, right? So just listen. Just see what's going on. And again, if it's too intense, acknowledge the emotion, show some gratitude. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate you. This is a lot. That way you're building a connection to yourself, right? You're deepening that connection to yourself because the emotions as if well, the way I look at it with emotions being guides, they're being friends, they're shouting out an issue, they're pointing out a lesson, right? It it gives me that space to allow the emotional flow to be natural and to just arise. So the emotions that are just arising just because of the circumstance, right? It isn't necessarily that there's anything to learn, there's nothing to see here. It allows for that natural ebb and flow of emotions, right? It's not that deep. It's not that serious. It helps me differentiate between the two. And it gives you more of a loving approach to what's going on internally. It's retraining yourself how to interact with yourself in a more loving way, a more supportive, unconditional way, right? So whatever comes up, just for right now, just acknowledge it. Just, hey, anxiety, hey, sorrow, hey, emotion I can't quite name. What's going on with you? We've been hanging out for a while. I'm not really sure what's happening. Is that like a mishmash of several emotions? What's happening there? And then you can keep the the physical reactions in mind as well because you do want to be present, right? That's what meditation is. So you do kind of want to take notice of, okay, so this is what's happening in my body when anger arises. This is what's happening in my body when sorrow arises. This is what happens in my body when I shut down to whatever emotion comes up, right? How exactly do you express that? When I shut down, I it all goes to my heart. Like my shutdowns are heart centric, starts there, and then everything else numbs out. So that's my shutdown process. It's always interesting when I have a mental shutdown first because it's like my body gets really hot as my mind shuts off. So it's kind of an interesting way that we interact with not just our emotions but our physical body and how little we really are aware of what's actually taking place. This brings you back to where you are and lets you see how you're interacting with yourself on multiple different levels. So to wrap up, I just thank everybody. Thanks for showing up, emotions. I appreciate you. Keep flowing like normal. I'm doing my best to work with you. I'm doing my best to acknowledge you and hear what you have to say. Don't go. It's gonna be okay. I will get to everyone. I I am working on it. Bringing in a little bit of humor can help. It again, it's think about how you appreciate when people talk to you. So I very much appreciate humor. Sometimes I take myself entirely too seriously, especially when I'm doing subconscious work. I go serious real quick, and that's not necessarily the best policy for me. I need that humor interspersed throughout because it seriousness is how I got to the position I'm in. So I need to ease up on that. A good thing to reflect on or ask yourself is, okay, so what are some situations where you really felt seen? You were talking to somebody and they said or did something that you really felt connected to. You felt seen, you felt heard, you felt respected. I want you to take that behavior and I want you to start applying it to yourself because that's how you need to be loved. That's how you need to be approached. And it could be that you aren't giving yourself that treatment in your day-to-day or in your meditative practice or in a myriad of other ways. So really start to add that in to your day-to-day when you check in with your emotions, when you do your meditative practice, however that looks, and start incorporating these. Now, if you have like 12 that you want to do, don't start with all 12. Pick one and start there. Incorporate it over a 40-day period. 12-day period, right? Check in with yourself. Everybody has various ways that they incorporate this. Don't overdo it, because if you try to put everything into play at once, you're not going to see, you're not giving yourself space to see the changes, to see how it really elevates you so that you can connect to that, because that is a form of progress. Give yourself that space. Doesn't all need to happen right now. And if you try to do too much at once, you're negating all of your actions. You're putting too much pressure on yourself. Don't. We've already got enough of that. Don't add it. Don't add it here. So, and then I just like to thank myself for showing up. Thanks for checking on me. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you and I love you very much. Always a good thing to thank yourself. Hey, it was good to see you. Thanks for checking on me, right? Just like any other friend. Okay? Start treating yourself with a little bit more love and support and see the ways in which you need to actually be loved and supported. So, thank you for joining me and I will see you soon.